Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world you guys are at. So we're here today to discuss a very interesting topic, navigating lawful permanent resident and U.S. arrival steps for hassle-free immigration, which is something that we've been doing for quite some time. We're gonna go over all the things that we do for candidates to make sure that their transition from their home country going to the United States is gonna be seamless and their experience is gonna be awesome. So that's pretty much what we are trying to achieve for this webinar. Thanks for joining. I'm seeing a lot of chats already. Um, Hi, Sunil. Good to see you here. Um, Perhaps we can go ahead and move to the next slide. All right. So first, we want to share with you the mission statement of Worldwide's relocation departments. So it's our mission to provide a seamless, as I've said, and positive experience for all our candidates by delivering personalized, efficient, and reliable services before, during, and after your transition here in the United States. So we are very committed to provide exceptional support, professionalism, and constant focus on exceeding your expectations. Again, our ultimate goal is to make every single experience with relocation to be seamless, beneficial, and successful. Okay. Hi, Pauline. Pauline, thanks for joining. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Okay. So I wanted to introduce you to our team, our relocation team. So this happens once you obtain your EB3 visas. The first thing or the next step is going to be you being managed by our travel assistant. So what they will do is pretty much introduce you, um, or after you completed your embassy interview, you're going to be completing your transition. They're going to help you book your flights. So our team of travel assistants are experts in ensuring that, factoring in all the different airports that you have to go to until you reach your final destination in the United States. So our travel assistants are trained to, factor in the possible delays, the amount of time of layovers, just to make sure you're not going to miss your flight. Our travel assistants will also help you out or help our candidates out in terms of providing or booking your initial housing for the first 30 days. So primarily what we do is we check the location of your facility or the hospital that you're going to be working in, and find the safest, those hotels with most positive reviews, which would fit and suit your needs depending on who are you going to be traveling with. So the way we do that, we schedule calls even prior to you leaving your home country or whatever country you're going to be coming in from, and we answer all your questions, concerns, and again, even before you arrive in the US, there's probably going to be two or three calls that you're going to have with our travel assistants just to make sure that you are all set before you even travel. Next slide, please. All right. So the next slide, I'm gonna hand this over to our associate director, Stephanie.
Hi, everyone. So glad to be on this webinar. We're excited. The next step, you're going to be introduced your relocation specialists, and they are the ones who are going to literally hold your hand as you transition to the United States. They're going to be there for you. We want to support you, and that is our mission and desire. And we also want to help you with your permanent housing options as well. So you have your temporary accommodations, you need to transition over to your permanent housing options. And we're here to help you navigate that piece, which is can be stressful, but that's what we're here for. We want to provide support and resources, anything that you need in order to feel again, supported. And we also schedule another call with you, with your relocation specialist. We provide the reimbursement forms at this time because, each employer has certain reimbursements that they have, and we are also, again, we answer any questions or concerns that you have. So if we can move on to the next slide, that would be great. So then we also have a reimbursement specialist. So Jenny, her name is Jenny. She is amazing. Once you start with your employer, you will be introduced to Jenny, and she will also schedule a call to go over the reimbursement process if you have any questions or concerns. She is amazing. She is amazing, and she does such a good job at processing the reimbursements. We know that, when you start in a new country, you need to have your financial uh, things in order. So we're just happy to have her on the team to be able to support you and to answer any questions that you may have. Next slide, please. Veg, I'll let you take the before the departure.
Absolutely. Okay, so before you leave, few reminders that we give our candidates is that automatic SSN or social security number issuance. So as soon as you arrive in your first US point of entry, this is pretty much automatic. So the SSN is already requested during your visa application. So this is indicated on your form DS-260. So we use our North Carolina office address, wherein we wanted your social security cards to be mailed in our office just for safekeeping. So as soon as we receive that, your social security card, our mailroom, who's also an amazing, very hardworking individual, Serene. Her name is Serene. So within 24 hours, once we receive the social security cards, we scan a copy of the card and then send over the soft copy to our candidates. Why do we do that immediately? Because for the most part, most of the boards of nursing requires social security number for them to issue a license to our nurses. So we wanted that document, that social security card, to be available. And then right after that, our mailroom will send you an email saying that, here's the soft copy of your card. Tell us where you wanted us to mail it. Unfortunately, we cannot mail it to your facility address. It needs to be coming from you, just to make sure that you will receive your social security card within 2 to 3 business days. So what's the process? Information is sent to the Social Security Administration, as I've said, as soon as um, you arrive your first U.S. point of entry. SSA will automatically assign a number or social security number and mail your social security card to the U.S. mailing address, which is our office address in North Carolina. There's no special application or office visit is required. So generally speaking, again, you should expect the social security card or social security number to be mailed within 3 weeks upon your US arrival. But important thing to remember is that if the mailing address changes or the SSN card is not received within 3 weeks, so we need to call the Social Security office at this number. But there is a way for us to prevent something like this from happening, and Stephanie would be the best person to give us that reminder.
Yes. So we will go over some instances where the process can get a little less clarity. What when you go through when and we'll talk about that when you go through U.S. immigration. So basically from this, just so you know, you do not have to go to the Social Security Administration office to apply for a Social Security card. It is an automatic process as soon as you go through the immigration at your point of entry. And you should expect the Social Security card to arrive within 3 weeks. So that is something that's very important to understand. CJ, if you can move to the next one, that would be great. So the other important question we get is a green card. So green card timeline after US arrival is usually within 3 months, but it could be longer than that. That's what we're seeing currently right now in the mailroom. It's about 3 months post arrival. Just so you know that the address that it will be sent to is also our office in Charlotte, North Carolina. Just and this is something that it's very important to understand. Your visa, it's called a I-551 visa. It acts as your temporary green card and is valid for a year after you arrive. We get a lot of questions about that because people get concerned, just in case if their green card doesn't arrive in a timely manner. It will be valid for a year once you arrive in the US. Now, we have very helpful links in order for you to track the issuances of your green card. And you can also look up your status online. So your relocation specialist is going to be working with you hand in hand and will be giving you, these links in order for you to feel comfortable that your green card is being processed as it needs to be. So we just want, to feel comfortable with that because we know that that can be a stressor, but just know that we have seen it and heard it all and we are here for you. And again, we will be able to inform you and to educate you again, how Social Security cards are issued, how green cards are issued. So we just wanted to bring that up in the webinar. If we can move on. So these are some important areas where we find that we wanted to elaborate on. So once you get your visa, you will have a visa packet. And you have to keep your visa packet sealed. You cannot open it. And you should hand over your sealed packet to the customs officer before you leave the airport. When you go through immigration. We've had some instances where that has not happened. We believe that's probably because either the officer may be new to the job or maybe there's some miscommunication, but you have to leave your sealed packet at that port of entry. That's a big deal. Okay. Uh, your visa. Now, this is something that I will bring up. Your visa will not necessarily be stamped moving forward. I know it says that on the slide, but in actuality, it may not be stamped. I do not think they stamp anymore. You can actually look up your port of entry online and your relocation specialist knows how to do that. But again, I want to emphasize that the visa stamp acts it your entry into the United States on the stamp gives you a temporary green card for up to a year before the physical card is issued. And Liz is telling me, yes, it does need to be stamped. So make sure that it is stamped. All right, before leaving, make sure that you also have paid your immigrant fee. We've had some confusion on this. You have to pay the immigrant fee for your green card to be issued. That that is something that's non-negotiable. It has to be paid. You can pay it online and you will get instructions on how to do that, usually from your case manager, but obviously the relocation specialist can also help you with that. And your estimated green card issuance is currently 3 months, but it can be more than that. But that's what we're seeing at the moment. This is going over your Social Security card is something that's when you filled out your DS-260, it's something that the Social Security Administration will get and will start processing the card, and it usually arrives within 3 weeks of arrival. If it doesn't arrive during that time, work with your relocation specialist on next steps, because worst case scenario, you would have to go to the Social Security office in order to reapply. But that is rare. That is not common. But we wanted to be able to say that just in case that happens, so you are aware. So, CJ, if you can move the slide, that would be great.
While CJ is moving the slide, well, I just want to point out that those timelines in terms of issuance of social security number are best estimate. I'm gonna have to say those are average. It can go a little bit above. It can also go a little bit, quicker than it should be. Recently, our social security cards are being mailed to us, sometimes less than 2 weeks, but it can go up to 3 weeks. Similarly, green cards, sometimes it can be mailed to us in a span of 2 months, 1.5 months, but again, those are just best estimates. If everything is in place, all those reminders or all those things that Stephanie previously mentioned are completed, then we should be good. We should be in the right track. I'm sorry for the interruption,
No,
Stephanie,
no
please go
worries.
ahead.
So, just some hot items to inform your relocation specialist if any of these things happen. All right, we want to make sure that you've given your sealed package to the Customs and Border Protection officer. If that has not happened, please let your relocation specialist know that. Um, if you change your address, if the officer changes your address at the USCIS website, or if any address change has occurred, we need to know, because what happens is sometimes the immigration officer will change the address to the facility address, which complicates things greatly. So please be sure, if they ask what address you're staying at, you will want to say Worldwide's address, because that's where you want your documents in order to be sent to. Number three, obviously, you pay your USCIS immigrant fee in order for your green card to be issued. Sometimes people forget or they don't do it, and then they wonder where their green card is at. You have to pay the fee in order to get the card. And number four, always check your green card status with the USCIS. It's an easy thing to do. Your relocation specialist will show you how to do it. It's basically logging on and putting in your receipt number in. It's very simple, but it's something, you want to be aware of.
Do you want me to take this?
Yes, Veg, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. Okay, so important takeaways. We have a travel emergency hotline. But as I've said, prior to your departure from the country that you're going to be coming from, expect that your travel assistant or your relocation specialist will have another call just to set their expectations, what's going to do. They should give you their number, a number wherein you can call if for any travel emergencies, your flight has been delayed, or sometimes you have encounter issues with your temporary housing or with the hotel where you book you to. So that's what the number is for travel emergencies. So although again it rarely happens, but it's always good to know that you have someone that you can call to or send a text message if in case something unusual happens. Okay, so we also provide resources in terms of, say for example, once you arrive in the US and you're planning to buy a car. We all know the transportation in the United States. I mean, the public transportation, there's not always a public transportation. So it's very important that you have a resource or you wherein you can, apply for a car or buy a car through a car loan. So we are partners with international auto stores, but ideally, this is something that you should have done early in the process. Even before you arrive in the US, they are helping out applicants to, go over the requirements, setting proper expectations. In fact, they're even providing a free driving lessons, at least 8 lessons as soon as you arrive in the US. Okay, Mobi matters. So recently we add this to the services that we provide our candidates. So this is an electronic SIM. Not all airports will have a good Wi-Fi signal. So Mobi Matter will allow you to communicate, to have a data signal, and this is something that's on us. We're gonna pay for it so that once you arrive, whatever airport you're gonna be uh, coming in, you will have a data signal. You have a way to communicate via messenger or all other platforms. You can tell your relocation specialist, hey, I arrived in the US safely. You can tell your relatives from your home country, hey, we are here in the United States already, and things like that, right? So Mint Mobile is also one of the things that we have, or one of the phone providers that we have partnership with. So you can go ahead and apply for a US phone number, and they are very economical. They have very economical phone plans once you arrive in the US. Advantial is one of the our partner banks. Obviously, as soon as you arrive in the US, you will be needing to open up a bank account. That is also where we're going to be sending your the candidates or the nurses reimbursements as soon as they are qualified for those reimbursements, and they're only asking for minimal documents or requirements, which you already have even prior to you leaving your home country. They're only asking you to submit for a copy of your passport, a copy of your visa, your offer letter or reconfirmation letter, as well as the proof of status letter coming from us from Worldwide. All those are all the documents that you need to submit. In less than a week's time, you should have your bank account already. And lastly, we also have Furnished Finder. So this is mainly for candidates who are looking for permanent housing, because for the most part, some of our nurses already have relatives in there in the United States, wherein they're getting assistance in terms of finding a permanent housing. But we also have resources. Furnace Finder is one of those things that would help you find an apartment wherein you can stay. In addition to that, we connect nurses. So we have, for those nurses who arrived or who's already working in the United States, we ask for the referrals. They are sometimes, most of the time actually, they are providing some links, referrals, wherein other candidates can connect and eventually find not only permanent housing but a community of nurses. So those are the important takeaways.
I also want to add with Advantial, they can provide debit cards and credit cards and can finance your auto loans. So that is something that Advantial does, and it's important to be able to be financially set when you arrive. Again, getting your phone situated, your banking situation situated, as well as your car situated, because we know in the United States that it is a large country. Unless you're living in a really large city, which has a good public transportation, having a car is probably one of the things though international nurses have to get used to, because it's something that we take it for granted here. I think a lot that we have to drive, so that's something to be aware of as well.
Okay, I guess it's time for answering some of the questions. I've been seeing several good questions. I'm gonna go ahead and pick one. Uh okay. From
Oh, y-
Therese Lau. Sorry. CJ, do you want to go ahead and read the questions?
oh, oh, yeah. I can help you assist with that one, Budge. And
All right, cool.
yeah, yeah. Let me just pull that up. You pick Theresa. Or yeah, okay. So she said, I'm from Ghana, currently working in 1,000 bed capacity facility, and my BSc nursing December 2023. Please, how do I join your bedside team?
That's a very good question, Theresa. I'm gonna go ahead and take that. Well, first, Theresa, in order for you, let me make sure I understand the question. You wanted to work in the U.S. as an RN. So the first, I'm gonna have to say, milestone that you have to accomplish is to take and pass NCLEX. That's the first thing, right? So once you pass NCLEX, you have a license in any of the states, then we can take it from there. You can apply with us, and then we'll find a job for you depending on the current openings that we have all across the United States. And then we have a licensure experts in house who will help you obtain the license that you need depending on which part of the United States you're going to be working at. I hope that answers the question, Teresa. CJ, we're ready to take the next question.
Yep, yep. All right, thanks, Veg. Next question is from Miss Imani. She said, kindly, what are those permanent housing options? And can you please elaborate?
So once you arrive here in the United States, again, you will be paired with a relocation specialist. We also, in our database, we also know where, depending on your relocation, where most of international nurses are currently living. So we can also connect you with international nurses who are already working with your employer, as well as provide you, the housing options that they are currently living at. So there's other, obviously, we can do research as well on to find out permanent housing options, but those are two really, really good avenues that we have to provide permanent housing availability for you.
Yep,
In
thanks,
addition to
Stephanie.
that,
Mhm.
I just want to add before we proceed to the next question, some of our employers are also have partnerships with those apartments in nearby areas. So that would also be a great resource for permanent housing.
Yeah, correct. That'll be a great option, Veg. Okay, next question is from Pauline, and thanks for this question. Due to current retrogression, what is likely estimated time to complete the relocation process, starting from job offer to arriving to the United States?
Okay. Um, Obviously, uh, Stephanie will have more experience on this, but I'm gonna go ahead and put my 2 cents in this. Retrogression or not, the general processing time from from the time that you sign the job offer up until such time that you start working in the US, relatively it's gonna range between 14 to 18 months on average. Because that factors in the filing of your petition, completing of all the documents, your licensure application. So again, whether there's a retrogression or not, that's pretty much the standard time that we process or the amount of time it takes from the time that you sign up the offer until such time that you start working in the United States. Stephanie, please feel free to chime in.
Absolutely. So obviously, so Worldwide has been doing this for a really long time. And having said that, we have experienced case managers who are there to also help answer your questions through the process. Their retrogression does factor into maybe an increase in the timeline, but I would say, exactly spot on with what Veg is saying. There's a period of time that you will go through, and it can be up to 18 months, and it just really depends. We always say it's a case by case basis, so we can give you an average, but it's really going to depend on your personal case as it goes through the immigration process.
Oh, yeah, correct. And I also want to share our experience with my wife and I. Like, we spent like a year and a half because of COVID. So it really differs. like cases, but I'm pretty sure that it is really worth it. It's really like American dream to be here in the United States. Okay.
Yep, CJ, you've been
Uh,
through it, you and your wife. That's something that,
oh yeah.
it's really valuable. So you know what
Oh
it's
yeah.
like to go through the process. How long did it take
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. 1.5 year.
Mhm.
And as you like discussing about the port of entry, the visa pocket, and all the green card stuff, and social security numbers, like I recall all those like stuff that we did when we arrived in the airport. Actually, we like our port of entry here in the United States is in JFK in New York, and it's really a great experience. And yeah, just trust the process. It'll be worth it. So right now we are like um going 3 year almost 3 years here in the United States. Yeah, to
That
all
is
of
so
our
amazing.
nurses out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really worth it. So just trust the process. Like we are doing all the best. I mean the best that we can do to like transition all of our nurses here in the United States. So yeah, just trust the process.
Yeah, and I also wanted to add on the YouTube channel, we also have retrogression webinars as well that go in more into detail about the questions that you're asking. So, CJ, I don't know if you could put some links to those retrogression webinars into the chat, but just know that
Mhm.
this is a topic that we've covered previously for sure.
All right, cool. Yep. Okay, next question is from Red. So I was issued an SSN when I was a minor. Will I need to reapply for a new one?
Always get interesting questions like this. So if I would have to research this, to be sure, because I'm not exactly sure, but I'm fairly certain that you might be able to recapture your previous Social Security number, but you would definitely have to go through the same process. You're still going to have to do the DS-260. You're still going to have to be issued, another Social Security card. So, whether or not you get the same number that you did when you were a minor, typically those numbers stay the same, but you just may require an adjustment of status after you arrive to the US on your new visa.
Yeah, thanks, Stephanie. And also, I think this is like somewhat the same question from Ricola. She has an SSN from a previous J1 visa. So, how different is my SSC process?
So, a J1 visa. Okay. So you were an exchange visitor if you used a J1 visa. So a J1 visa is obviously different from an EB3 visa, which is an employment-based visa. So those processes would be different in that you will have to go through EB3 processing and then upon arrival go through the same process to get your Social Security card. You may have to go to a Social Security Administration office to have restrictions taken off that SSN. But that is something that we definitely could help with if you needed advice on that when you're in the process. But again, you will keep the same Social Security card number.
All right, great. Thanks, Stephanie. Next question is from in booking a flight, can the applicant suggest or pick a flight which is within your budget, maybe?
Absolutely. Yes, we do this all the time. Before we finalize the flight itinerary or booking the flights for our candidates and their dependents, there are several calls that happens, right? We do our best to book the most reasonable flights for candidates, but they can also pick their own as long as within its budget. Yes. You just need to work with your travel assistants, get their approval, and you should be good to go.
Okay. Let me see here. Okay, here's the next question from Anne Doi. Do you assist also when looking for school for dependents upon arrival in the U.S.?
We can definitely help with resources. Like I said, we're just here to support you in the best way possible. We have a lot of things we can give you, as well as educate you as well on how you would look for a school for your dependents, as well as what is required uh, for schooling. It's not. Uh, Again, it seems I can imagine moving to the United States is going feeling overwhelmed. You're going to feel a bit overwhelmed, but that's what we're here for. That is our mission statement. We want this to be as smooth process as possible and to support you in every way that we can.
Yeah, correct. Okay, so here's our last question. It's from Jose Burgos. Once we land in the US, are my dependents be staying with me on your provided temporary housing, or do they need to look for their temporary place?
Absolutely. They're gonna stay with you. Okay? We don't want you to stay in a place we're gonna be booking you for the first 30 days without your dependents. So they're gonna be staying with you. We'll make sure that it happens because that's how we do things now, right, Stephanie?
Yes, absolutely. And
I
there may be opportunities like sometimes dependents may come later. It just again it's case by case basis. You know that's why our we work with you in a professional manner, individually, one on one, because we know everybody has different circumstances. So any questions you may have, we're here to answer them. Any concerns that you have, we're here to answer them. You know, that's what we are about here at Relocation in our department. Oh, yes, and, yes, you can also, you know, depending on the client, again, case by case, you know, we have, chances for you to, you know, live with relatives for a little while. You know, as soon as you arrive, you would probably be more aware of, you know, different clients have different parameters, but I just saw that question go by about relatives. Can you elaborate, Veg, really quick on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, um different hospitals or different clients will have different set of parameters. If you want to stay with them for the first couple of weeks before you start working, yes, it depends on whether or not the clients will approve that. But to my knowledge, most of them do. But if you're gonna be working, say for example in New York, we wanted you to live really close to the hospital that you're gonna be working at. Um, you probably know how. I mean, I can't stress this enough how physically demanding a job of a nurse is. What we are trying to avoid is for our nurses to travel or drive hours just to go to work and back to home. That's going to be really stressful. We're not going to be setting you up for success if we do that. That's why when helping our candidates find their permanent housing, we see to it that it's just a few minute drive. So that's how we do things. I think CJ, we were running out of time, but if you can
Yeah.
do me a favor and share the relocation email so that if they have questions that we haven't answered yet, they can definitely send us an email with those questions at relocation@healthstaff.org.
Okay, I'll put that on the chat.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So Facebook page, please follow us to keep updated, and also for any immigration updates and new positions, and also for our future webinars. We always put those in our Facebook group. I mean, Facebook page. And next one would be the great a program that we have, our refer a nurse program. That if you have a colleague who has passed NCLEX and have a minimum 1 year of current bedside experience, you can refer them to us, and you will earn up to $250. And okay, so Any last thoughts, Veg and Stephanie?
We're excited to help. This is why I love what I do, and I know Veg can say the same thing. We really, really are passionate about what we do. So please, please email us, ask any questions. We're always happy to answer. My dad was an immigrant, so my daughter is a nurse. So my heart is very let's just say this is one of the reasons why I love what I do, is to help those coming to the U.S. and for them to feel comfortable in doing so.
Same here. I can't stress that enough. So that's the main reason why we do things the way we do it now is because we wanted to help out international nurses and clinicians achieve their, their American dream and being able to work in the US. But, for now that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining. Thanks for asking those very good questions, and I hope to talk to you all soon.
Thank you all. Bye for now.